Hi everyone, this is Jody. Welcome back to Northern Country Creations, and I've got some tips and tricks here if you have some upholstery samples or fabric samples. So this is some tips and tricks on what you can do with if you have some of these. So after you take this apart, there's big staples in it, and once you get them apart, you're left with like this here, and then on the back side it usually has this glued on backing because it talks, you know, it's kind of like a paper and it's glued on and it gives you the information about the sample. And I've seen lots of people struggle with trying to take a heat gun and try to remove this, and they found it very difficult. I did too. Maybe you don't have a heat gun, maybe you have upholstery samples and you're like, okay, I'm wasting all of this fabric around if you're just cutting this part out and just using this. So I figured out kind of a way to utilize this glued on part. So I was playing around, and this is a few things that I came up with. Let me zoom down a little bit. So I had some tab dies. I have some solid ones here, and then I have these clear ones, you know, that just have the border around it. So then I thought, let me run it through my Big Shot and see what happens. And I was actually very, very surprised as to how these turned out. So when I ran it through there, if you run it through without the paper, just as the fabric, I found it a little difficult to, I found it a little difficult for the fabric to be cut. Maybe it's just because I have an old one. This is, you know, this is an old Big Shot, and I thrifted it at the thrift store. So maybe I just don't have a sharp enough equipment or the right equipment. Maybe yours does cut fabric. I don't know. But I thought, okay, let's see how this turns out. And I was actually pleasantly surprised that it cut it out nice and clean, because I think it has the paper on it. So then, you know, there is sometimes a little bit of the fibers, like you can see here. A little bit of the fibers still kind of get stuck to it, and you have to take, you know, your scissors and just kind of, you know, snip around a little bit. But it turned out that I got these nice fabric tabs, upholstery tabs. Oops. Let me show you some different ones here. Let me zoom down really close here. So I have my solid ones, and this one came out of this piece here. And you just fold it in half, and it's scored already, you know, so now you have some fabric tabs. And then I tried my solid ones, so this one came out of here. And of course, I just had to snip it here and there because the, you know, the little bit of the fibers get stuck. You know, like I said, maybe it's just because mine, I don't have a really new one or anything, but you can see here where it goes through. See, this pops out, but then there's just like a few little fibers, and you just keep going around and finish cutting it out. And like I said, maybe yours, you know, will come clean. So, but anyways, I just went around and finished snipping the, you know, the little bit of fibers that are connected to it, and I have all of these little fabric tabs. And so, like for example, I have this one here. This one here, and I just ran my sewing machine through it, you know, just like this. I just ran my machine through it before I put it on there. And then there's like one here, right there. I just put a little design on that one. And so I thought, hey, great, this is a great way to have some upholstery fabric tabs. Here's one like here. And so I just got to finish cutting them out. But, so I thought that was a way to utilize, you know, this glued on part. So, let me get that out of the way. And then I thought, okay, I also have big upholstery samples. Let me zoom back out a little bit. I also do have big upholstery books. You know, this one's kind of a long, thin one. You know, it's probably maybe 4 inches wide type ones, but then I have these big, huge, giant ones, and they're kind of too big for camera videoing, but so I thought, well, why not take a big one? So I believe, yes, I cut it off right here. I can run this through with, you know, my tabs and make different tabs with it. And then I thought I would try this. I have one of these. I don't have any other like dye, this type of dye. I just got this. I thrifted this at a garage sale, I think. And I just liked the design, so I picked it up. So then I ran it through just the fabric only, and it actually cut really good with this type. So if you have this type, the fabric comes out great. And I thought, oh, that makes a neat, you know, a neat design. So you can run it through without the white part. So it's probably just because I have, you know, I don't probably maybe have the right tools for making a cleaner cut. So therefore, these would pop right out for you. You know, if you just pull hard enough, they will, but I have to cut mine, but I probably maybe need to add another, you know, another layer of these through it. But anyhow, that is a great idea, I thought, is to use the back of this part here. Now, like I said, I don't have any smaller dies of this type since this worked, you know, without it. So I thought, wow, this would be pretty actually on a fabric flip, you know, behind another piece of fabric. Like here's purple. And see, this just needs trimming. It kind of does the same thing with the tabs. It does leave these little kind of little fraying, but I just love that. So yay. Anyways, so I thought that was kind of a good idea to try and a way to use this part. So okay, so I cut that out, and I did a little bit of work because I had said that it would make a great fabric flip. So this is what I made with it. I just wanted to show you that. Zoom a little bit. So I just took some, this is like a, almost like some edging. I really don't know if it's called seam binding, but I ripped it off from like the edge of, I don't know if this was a blanket or what, but I just took my seam ripper and ripped it off, and so now I have this like ribbon. So I took a piece and went across and then I put some crocheted trim here, and then this is a piece of vintage sheet that I kind of just like fussy cut out the flower, and then there's a piece of trim here, or lace trim that I cut out, and then here is this piece of the upholstery fabric, and I put this here, Live Your Dreams. And then on, when you flip it up, it has one of those journaling cards. I have a whole bunch of them, and I'm like, okay, I gotta find a way to start using these up. And it fit on here perfectly, so actually I glued it on with the Fabri-Tac. And so now you have a journaling spot here when you flip it up. And then underneath that is another piece of that vintage sheet, and I did some sewing here and made a little pocket where it holds a little tag. And then when you flip it all the way up, you've got, I used some of the, what do they call that? The scorecard, one of those score pads. And I just took a piece here and I covered up that writing, you know, this writing that is on the back, and just glued it on. And then I also thought I could have went another step farther, and I could have put something else across here, or I could have made another pocket here where I could have, I don't have something small enough where I could have stuck another pocket back here. So if this is in a journal though, this part here would be glued on, so then it would, you know, flip up like this. You know, so. But yeah, I was just trying to take this upholstery sample to another level and keep using it some more. So that was my finished project there. This is ready to go into a journal. And yeah, so kind of got some extra interactions on that. And yeah, like I said, I could have did something else there and I didn't. But you can write on the back of this and here. All right, so that was the tabs, then cutting out, you know, doing an image on like a big shot. So that's like the second idea I had. Third idea is, let me zoom down a little bit. Third idea that I had was, this was from my 50s journal, and this is a piece of upholstery fabric, and again this has the paper on it like this. And what I did is I just took some paint, just some regular, this is our acrylic paint, and I just brushed it on and let it dry, and then voila, now you have some writing space and you can write on this. I did test it out, you can write on it. So that is another idea, is using the back of this, cut out a tag or a shape or whatever you want, and then you could paint the back of it and you can journal on it. So that was that idea. Okay, the next idea that I had with the upholstery backgrounds is to make a pocket out of them. So here is the back that has the writing on it and the glued on paper. And what I found is, sure, I mean, you can make a fabric pocket, and you know, lots of people do, but then the pocket is floppy. But with this glued on, it is very sturdy. So then I can make a pocket and pop it on my page like that. And then I have a very nice sturdy tuck spot as or for a pocket. So that is another idea, and I'm going to glue this on this page here, and we were going to pop it on right here, and then now we have a pocket that has a really sturdy background. And so there is that. So that is another idea on how to use the backing of your upholstery fabric. All right. Okay, next idea on how to use upholstery samples is to cut them out and make them into tie holders. And what I mean is by this here, so that you can make a tie. like that. So these are just round. I'll show you how to make them. So again, this is already your stability. I don't know if anyone's thought about that, but this is your stability. And what I did is I just took like this roll of my medical tape that I use for joining pages, and basically I just put it on the white area. Whoops, didn't do that one very well. Well, anyways, you get the point here. Let me put it back on. Ah! Draw a circle. And then just take your scissors and cut it out. And you can make these as big as you want, of course. I just made 1-inch ones. Just cut it out. Now, I have what you call a badge cutter here. This is for cutting like your ID badges, and this cuts through it really nice. But what I did is to get it centered so that I'm cutting it in the middle, I basically just took my, oops, I'll get it here in frame, sorry, let me zoom down just a little bit farther so you can see. I'm just trying to find the center point. So I basically just drew a line at the 1 inch, turned it around, and drew the middle of the 1 inch. So here is the intersection. So then I know where, when I put this in here, where I want it. And so I want the line, sorry, trying to focus. So I want the line to be centered so that I am punching in the center of it. And then of course there's a little bit of fibers that, you know, are still holding it together. Oops. So it's cut out, but there's still a little bit of fiber. So I just take my little scissors and just snip it off. And so now I have a circle with basically a tie holder. And this is going to be very strong because it's upholstery fabric, and then it has this on the back. And then you can just glue it on to your envelope or whatever you would like to put the ties on. Now on this one, this is just some like bias tape seam binding, and I sewed it here. I made a loop through it like that, and I sewed it across with my sewing machine, and then I put it through, and then I glued this onto the item that I am trying to tie. And so this was a really cute book page from a children's book that was holding hands, and I wanted to have something that I could tie together and then open it up, and then you would have, you know, journaling inside, or, you know, something in the middle. I'm not done with this yet, but this was my idea. And then basically I can just tie it in a bow or however you want to do it, but it creates a holder for your tie. And I suppose you could do a I used this because a ribbon will lay flat in it like this, and then plus this will punch through your upholstery fabric. However, I have not tried a regular hole punch, so let's just see if it'll work. I want to put it here on the white part. I don't know if it will. Oof. Ah! I don't want to... It actually did. I mean, I had to press it really hard, but I don't want to... I don't think I broke it. No, I didn't break it. But, so you can do it with a circle. So basically you could use, if you wanted to use like, not something wide trim like this to tie, you know, if you don't want a slot. So basically I didn't try it with the circle punch, that's why. So basically you could tie the circle, or cut the circle out and use it for that. So that will work then also. And so that was my next idea on how to use the upholstery fabric sample for another idea. Okay, idea number, I think we're on number 4 for the upholstery. So this one here, this sample that I had, I like this teal color, and same thing I did was, you know, take a roll of tape, cut it out, or you know, made the circle with my pencil, made my circle, cut it out with my scissors, and then what I did is I glued the circle inside the pop bottle or pop cap charm, and it really adds a really cool texture instead of just paper, you know, or cardstock. And then a lot of times there is the what do you call it, the resin sticky that you put on top of your paper or image. And so I just started playing around and I thought, oh, I bet you this would look really cool because this is, you know, a textured fabric, and it would look really cool on a pop bottle. And then I added a vintage button that was flower shaped, and then I took this little, you know, flower, scrapbooking paper, you know, flower, with a little gem on it, and then I did a ring and then a lobster claw. And so now I have a really cute dangle. So that is another idea that you can use for this. And all these items that I'm making, like the flip and all these, you know, the tabs and things like that, I just wanted to let you know I'm basing it off this book here. This is my next project that I want to work on. I wanted to work on a tall, thin journal. I've had these for a while, like last year. And of course I started the 50s journal when it was winter time, and look how long it took me. But I've had this book, I actually have 2 copies of it. I've had this for a while and I absolutely love it. And so these items with the upholstery is items that I'm making to go along with this journal that I'll be starting. And this fabric flip is perfect size, and again, the same colors. So a lot of these items that I'm making excuse me, are going to be using in this book here. So I just wanted to pop and tell you that there. Now this here is going to be a little too wide for it. Maybe not. You know what? It'll be actually just perfect if I keep the spine this length here. So this is so darn cute with the mice. So I may use this in here, or I may just cut it down a little bit to fit if I decide to use that. But so there is another idea for using upholstery samples. Okay, just to recap, we did 5 things that we can use for an upholstery sample that has the glued on part here. This is the focus of these top 5 things to use on how to utilize, you know, this paper backed part. So we made some tabs that you can stick on the edge of the journals. We've made fabric flips that you can use to cut out, you know, with your Big Shot. And then also just, you know, ways to use this part, which is this one here, and then a journaling spot. So we did that. Then we used a way to cut out the circle and punch it out for a ribbon holder or tie, however you'd like to use it. And then we made a charm with the upholstery part here and glued it on and made a nice charm. And then we also made a pocket out of the upholstery piece that has the white, and it makes it very sturdy. All right, so hopefully I have more ideas too, but this is the top 5 things that I've been using and that I will be using in this next journal here. That's my next project. So hopefully if I've inspired you to get out your upholstery samples, and you know, don't worry about taking a heat gun and trying to remove this. These are ways that you can utilize those. All right, thanks for joining me. All right, bye.